Hello and welcome to the final episode. I think it's going to be the final episode unless we, get extended by the great folks over at the Field of 68 and Bet Rivers. The final season wrap-up episode of the Unscripted, the official Michigan State podcast of the Field of 68. I am your host, Carter Elliott, here with my co-host, Greg Waddell. As always, folks, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the delay. I'm sorry for the people out there who've been waiting for this episode of Unscripted. But in all honesty, I'm not going to lie to y'all. We've been busy, okay? We've been busy. I was also grieving during that busy period as well because of the loss that we took to Marquise Noel in Kansas State. So things were going on, okay? Cut me some slack, but we're still here to record this episode. Greg, how are you doing today?
A lot has changed since the last time I talked to our Unscripted listeners. So, I'm a new me. It's a different Greg Waddell that's coming through your speakers right now. But I share your sentiments of a lot was going on. I mean, you and I were together a lot, and it was a blast in Houston. And then we got home, and I essentially hibernated for 48 hours, just kind of crashed. But excited to talk about it now. Some positive news already for the Spartans. Some ominous rumors, maybe, dare I say, that we have to talk through. It's exciting times. Y'all are going to be really, really good next year, man. And you had a good season this year, a very good season this year. So that's good things for Spartan Nation.
And great news for the Unscripted podcast listeners, because we have a body language expert. We have a peruser of social media expert. We have a guy who's going to find a way. And whether that be good or bad, he's going to find a way.
So, but you know me better than anyone, Cart. A lot of people look at me and be like, that guy's a dumbass for his body language PhD stuff. Am I a dumbass, or am I usually right with that stuff?
Oh, I mean, you're definitely typically right. This year is specifically, you've dangerously not been able to miss with your readings, which is maybe a little bit scary. But before we get into the news about what's happening going into next year, I kind of want to just wrap up the season as a whole. And I'll start with this because I think that you said it best. I am not taking any type of feedback about this Michigan State basketball team and saying that given what we had, or whether you say that's the roster that is constructed or whatever narrative you want to take, this was a good basketball season for this team based on the roster. I think it's safe to say I think we got the most out of this basketball roster. Maybe sans a couple guys, but I think that we got the most out of the roster and the talent of this roster. And look, yes, does it suck that we weren't able to advance in that Sweet 16 game in a winnable game? Yes. You can say that, but also say that this team had a good year. And if we went back to the start of the year and I was like, this Michigan State team made a Sweet 16, I would be in a happy place. I'd be in a good place. So that's the place I'm going to stay in. Obviously, circumstances change, ceilings change, things happen during the season. But all in all, keep it short and sweet. This was a good year of basketball for Michigan State, and it gives us something to build on going into next year, which we should be really good. Greg, am I wrong for saying that? Am I Rob Douster voice?
100% you're right. I would even venture to say for the roster being what it was a great year. And I think the only thing that prevents Michigan State fans or people in general from saying it was great instead of good is the respect that everybody has for the Michigan State program. Like any other program having the year y'all had with a roster that, I mean, I don't mean to, I'm not throwing shots, but this was not a top 10 roster in the country. I think most programs are ecstatic and feeling like what a successful year. At Michigan State, you're not, because you guys view yourselves as national contenders every single year, or at least that's the goal, right? Even if the last few have been not that, the goal is to get back there. So that speaks to how good the Michigan State program is. The Big Ten needs that, as you and I have talked about. We need programs that take themselves seriously as national contenders. Michigan State will always do that. It's why you're the most successful program in the Big Ten under Tom Izzo. But yeah, for this roster specifically, Cart, I think things went almost perfectly throughout the season. You played Mady Sissoko at center all year and almost made Elite Eight. Let's just step back from that. And if there is a criticism of anything, I think you would probably point at Big Ten play and maybe said this team had a few more downs than they could have. I do think there's a world where Michigan State was pretty clearly the second best team in the Big Ten this year. And instead, like, they were right in that middle of the pack. Everybody had 8 losses, right? And if they had played the Minnesota game, they emerged from that pack a little more than they did. But yeah, it just kind of a weird, like the Big Ten in general was just kind of a weird year. In the end, Michigan State makes it further than anybody else does, which makes sense to me, given who their coach is and given how they were playing at the end of the year. And I guess the hard part is just how can you say everything we just said about how it was a really good year? And you could go individually through names if you want to. We don't need to do that. But like, how do you square all that with what could have been just given the draw, given the Final Four, given the fact that like Florida Atlantic and San Diego State were the next 2 teams, dude? That's going to eat at me. And I'm not even a Michigan State fan for like a decade.
Right. Yeah, it eats at me. And the thing is, it's twofold for me. I think you can say that it was a good year, great year, whatever term you want to use, but also say it was I don't really know the term, like a letdown or a failed opportunity or whatever you want to call it, whatever term you want to use. The opportunity was there to go farther, and I think we could have gone further. But we got Marquise Noel, and part of that was our fault. And that's probably could be a whole nother segment about how we guarded Marquise Noel in that game and how we did things. But the way the bracket unfolded, it was there for the taking. So it's a failed opportunity. But you can say it's a failed opportunity and also say that's a good basketball season as a whole. Because
I also want to.
That's how it goes.
You're right, and I think that's what we're doing, which is good. And I hope that's how Michigan State fans view it. Like, I hope nobody's too bent out of shape still, like 3 weeks later about this, right? That said, they probably are. Like any passionate fan of that's a college basketball diehard is probably still like kicking themselves. I will say this.
Sorry, Greg, before you get going, too, Florida Atlantic was good as shit, though.
They were really good. Yeah,
they were good. 100%. They were good.
San Diego State wasn't.
Yeah, that kills me. Matt Bradley almost.
Yeah.
if I had to square up with Matt Bradley and Darian Trammell, I'm sorry. Like, I shout out to my Heat Check guys, but no, come on, dog. That ain't striking no fear in me.
Seeing them in a national championship game was still insane to me. But credit to him.
I drove 22 hours to see that short team play point guard.
But so there is a difference, though. This might give me some shit within the Michigan State fan base, but from the outsider perspective, putting my outsider hat on here, Cart, there's a big difference between what like this year's missed opportunity was, quote unquote, like, damn, our path would have been Florida Atlantic and San Diego State for a Final Four, for a national championship. Like that's just objectively a fact given the way it shook out. And that's something I think Michigan State fans are very fair to point out and be like, damn, we were so close. Compare that to the one other thing the fan base loves to point to, which was the COVID year. This year is 100% more realistic of that was y'all's title to take than 2020 was, because there are 15 other programs that can sit back on the COVID year and claim like that was our title. Like, you think Obi Toppin Dayton fans aren't still sour about that shit? Like, Michigan State was closer to 10th in the country that year than they were first in the country. I know they were at the right time, but it is not Michigan State fans' title to claim that year. Now, if you want to do this year, like,
I don't think it was either. I think that UConn team is running us out of the gym.
But that's a title game, though. Like, I'm not saying like this was your natty to claim, but like, for a program that hangs.
Are you saying this was our Final Four to claim?
I think you'd be in the national championship game if you beat Kansas State, is what I honestly believe. But that's a what if. We don't know. You're right. Florida Atlantic was playing awesome, but like, I mean, y'all played great in my opinion, other than the defensive stuff, which I guess prevents you from actually playing great. But like, you shot great. The offense was fantastic against Kansas State. That's what would kick me. If I'm a Michigan State fan, it's just like, damn, I feel like we did play a really good game. We just got beat by an all-time individual performance. And had that all-time individual performance not happened, like, I think you beat Florida Atlantic. I think you definitely beat San Diego State. And then who knows, like, UConn was dominant. UConn probably wins that game. But that's just like, of the two hypotheticals that I've seen Michigan State fans be like, oh, like that, this was ours. Like, this year felt a lot more realistic to me than 2020 did.
Well, it's twofold with it. It's like that COVID year one, it was like that team is special. Like that team is talented. This year, it's more so the field was so wide open. So it's like you're there. You might as well take advantage of the opportunity, and we
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
So
Also, Noel essentially like sent them home the bad way the next round.
see,
Like,
see,
that's
this
crazy.
this is what's still irking me. It's not the loss. I thought that the Noel performance, though it was special, I thought it was somewhat preventable. I thought that we didn't make it hard on him. I think we played into his game and we made it easy for him. It's like when someone beats you and a player is special. Like that happens all the time in basketball. Like when you have special guys in college basketball or even in basketball in general, some guys are just special. Some guys just have special performances no matter what you're doing. But you want to make that guy, you know, basically be special. Like you got to make it hard on him to be special. I don't think we necessarily made it hard on Marquise Noel to be special with the help side principles, pick and roll principles, help defense, all that. That's the thing that still kind of keeps me, I don't know, up at night. That's the term. I've been sleeping pretty fine because I've been goddamn tired from this basketball season. But like the whole Noel performance being preventable is kind of what irks me about the situation.
Yeah, I mean defensively, I don't really get what the plan was. I thought they were paying way too much attention to him, like off ball. Like dudes were just falling asleep. I mean, even the biggest moment of the game, the backdoor alley oop, dude just fell asleep. 19 assists, like to me, there's nothing you can say that would say that's not special. Like, did they make it easy on him? Yes. He still had 19 assists.
Oh no,
Like
it was
even
it's special. It's special.
yeah,
I don't
like
think
even a defense could be trying to get this dude assists, and like 19 assists in a 40-minute game is special.
yeah. No, I hate downplaying what a special performance it was, but
Yeah.
as I proceed to downplay it, it's just I'm not downplaying it. I just think that we didn't make it tough for him, and that's what just gets me. Like
The hard
if he
part to
does
me is
that,
I thought they did make it tough for him down the stretch, but it like the formula to make it
and
tough on him was pretty clearly put Jaden Akins on him. And
why are we only doing that the last 3 minutes of the game?
yeah, it's like we
Which
really
is
flirted with other things that were not working before just doing the obvious thing.
Yeah, which is crazy too, because when me and you talked about the preview of this game, I think we talked about the game being close because obviously we're pretty high on Kansas State, but we thought the difference would be that Jerome Tang's not there yet. He's not ready to be that guy yet. And Coach Izzo would, make the adjustments and out coach him basically down the stretch. And I mean, if we're keeping it a buck, I love Izzo. I really do. But if we're giving who won that coaching matchup, you got to give it to Tang.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he got out coached.
Again, not out coach isn't the term, but I'm saying like who
won it?
not out coach who won the coaching matchup if someone did.
I mean, that means someone lost the coaching matchup, though. If we're saying someone won it, right? Like, but you're right. You're right. Like Tang wins, right? But it's kind of like the players in this game. Like, would we sit here and say like, okay, Marquise Noel won the matchup with AJ Hogard, but AJ Hogard played great in this game. He had 25 and 6, right? So like, it's kind of, to me, that's sort of the Tang Izzo thing too. Is like Tang won the matchup, but I thought Izzo was pretty good. Other than I just would have stuck Akins on Noel sooner and said like make Noel beat you as a scorer one-on-one. Because even though Noel was going crazy, even though he had some highlight shots in this game, he was 7 for 18. Like it's not like he was not missing offensively. So I don't know, but like it's easier said than done with Kansas State, right? Like they had a lot of role players hit shots in this game. Give him credit. Like Masood had not made 4 threes in a game all season. He made 4 in this game. They were able to endure and sustain Michigan State's shot making. That's what made it like, just as an objective viewer, like fans loved this game. It was such a
game was amazing.
Watch.
Game was amazing.
Classic. It was a classic. And I think oddly enough, Cart, if you would have told us the game script before the game of like, this is going to go to overtime, it's going to be an all-time back and forth game, we probably lean Kansas State gets it done in the end because they had the best 2 players on the floor. And like, coincidentally, the best 2 players on the floor connected for an alley-oop in crunch time. Like, dude's going to do. Jerome Tang said it all tournament. And, next year, Michigan State is going to feel like they have the dudes more than they did this year. And that I think will matter in a big way.
Okay. And before we transition to next year, I do want to play just a little mini game to put a bow on the year. So just quick little superlative things. You can answer it in any way, form, long form, short term, whatever you want to do. Michigan State's best player this year.
Tyson Walker.
Michigan State's most important player this year.
AJ Hogard.
Letter grade for Coach Izzo's coaching job this year.
See, that's an impossible one to answer unless you set the parameters of like, what am I allowed to evaluate? Does the roster building from last summer go into the equation, or does it turn on the day of their first game?
Let's just say first game.
Okay, if we're just like, this was the roster that was handpicked and handed to Tom Izzo, and he had to mold them, then he gets an A+ for the season.
What if we take that out?
If we take that out and he gets the responsibility of putting the roster together, I think he gets a B. I think he gets a B because while he was so great in season and got the most out of this group, ultimately, like, the limitations he built into his own roster made a difference of where they would have been. Like, I think this was an absolute no-brainer Final Four team if they had better players at the 5.
I think I'm going to wrap that up at that point. I had a couple more in my head, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and
We didn't show any love to Joey, though. Can you find some way to get Joey involved with one of my answers? Because he was great this year.
Well, I was going to say most important player was Joey Hauser.
Okay.
Maybe if you want to say that was going to be like a most important player is Joey Hauser. What Joey did for this team this year is, it's special. Special. I wish I could win more bets to donate to, NIL to bring Joey back for another year, but I really truly just think he's just done playing basketball.
Most dependable, Joey Hauser. Most important, I still
Easily.
say AJ Hogard. But like, you never had to question what Joey Hauser you were getting any single
Right,
game.
most consistent. AJ was the most important because we didn't know where to get like he was such a roller coaster. That's
if you get good AJ Hogard, your team's elite. If you get bad AJ Hogard, your team's not elite. So we'll see.
Is that what we're gonna be looking? Is that what we're gonna be looking to next year? I was gonna say, is that what we had to look forward to?
Yeah. How about, can we? Now I'm kind of liking the superlative games, Cart. Can we do like most wrongly used player?
Most wrongly used?
Yeah, like most deserves a bigger role.
Oh, all right, yeah, right.
I'm wondering. I don't know. Like, is there any guy who dreams of being in the NBA that isn't allowed to do NBA things? I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know.
I don't know.
Actually, on a non-trolly thing, before we do the second half of this and actually get into some seriousness of that, how come you just said, like, I wish I had some NIL I could throw at Joey Hauser? How come, like, everybody's on their hands and knees begging Malik Hall back and not Joey Hauser?
I don't think people are really begging Malik Hall back like that. I think Malik's just coming back.
Okay. I guess I don't know. I don't feel like there was ever a push to let's get Joey
no,
back.
We from at least what I've seen and what I've heard, take it for what it is. There was like some begging and putting together packages for Joey, and Joey literally was just like, no.
Okay,
he's just like I'm done with. I think he's actually just done with college basketball. Like, he's just trying to get on to the next phase.
Just wants to go home and eat some cheese. Something like that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, eat some curds, maybe do some ice fishing, hit lilies.
Yeah, something like that.
Hit the Lilies Ice Classic.
I'm just glad people begged him. That's all. Like, he deserves to be.
I'm still begging him.
He deserves to be the first person on the list of, like, let's get that guy back. And if we're talking next year, like, I obviously Walker is Walker and he's hugely important, but like, you need Joey shooting more than you need anything on next year's roster. So I'm glad there was a serious push to get him back. Joey Hauser. Can we do one final toast to Joey Hauser on behalf of you and I? I think we've been two of the biggest Joey Hauser fans through the years, Cart. We love you, Joey. Thank you for all you brought to Michigan State basketball. I will always respect the hell out of you, man. Great player.
Joseph Jamal Hauser, the name will live on forever. As long as I'm a fan of Michigan State, no one will take the middle name Jamal. You earned it. It is yours.
Cheers. I'll drink to that again.
And also, last thing I want to say before we move on, don't want to pocket watch, but just saying, not the biggest fan of my school's donor, buying NBA teams when we have a chance to put that money towards getting Joseph Jabal back.
I agree with you there. Also, he made it interesting when I posed the question years ago, who's the better Hauser brother? Joey, you made it interesting this year, my friend, and I congratulate and applaud you for that. Good luck, Joe.
Cheers to you, man. You'll always be missed. Now, closing the book on this year.
The book's closed?
Yeah, we're on to next year, man. The portal's cooking.
Wow, Michigan State is actually different. I thought we only closed the book on like bad seasons. I didn't think that was going to be a thing on like seasons we felt pretty good about. That's credit to you.
Unlike the other years, we're not burning this book. We're just gonna file it in the bookshelf. You can go blow some dust off of it and read it if you want to again. But the book is closed, though. That's the thing. It's going in the bookshelf. We're on to next year. Things are moving fast. Not sure when this episode is actually going to come out, but we're recording this on Monday evening. Earlier today, Tyson Walker announced that he is coming back. The one more year chance worked. Just initial thoughts on Tyson Walker coming back. I mean, it's pretty simple. We're getting back an all Big Ten player, a player who was a go-to guy for us down the stretch, averaged 15 points a game, shot well over 40, I think 40% from three, maybe 42%. 45 from the field, was a go-to guy, had huge games, looked like a totally different player. Getting a guy like that back who's an all Big Ten caliber player, I would not be surprised if people like peg him to be like pretty big as far as awards that he might win, whether that be in the Big Ten level or even the national level, who really knows. But Tyson Walker has that ability, and it's great to have him back. And he's going to be 23. And age matters in college basketball nowadays.
It certainly does. The more 24-year-olds you can get, the better. Which makes this whole next season for Michigan State so interesting, because the biggest reason you're excited about next year, beyond the fact that you get the veterans in the backcourt back, is this awesome freshman class. And this year, freshman classes didn't work out so great across the country. So it's like, it's interesting because I think Michigan State has the best of both worlds. Like, you're not relying on the freshmen to come in and be 40-minute guys. So it's I'm very optimistic about next year's team. I'll save more thoughts on that for when you ask me at some point. But like, next year's Michigan State team is going to be awesome. Tyson Walker is going to be a big part of that. Clearly, we both know there's more complicated elements to the decision of Tyson Walker and the Michigan State decision of, do we bring Tyson Walker back? We should probably talk about those here. But before we do, the only thing I would say on Tyson is I think he's a first team all Big Ten guy next year. Anytime you can get that, you obviously take it. I think if I'm making a list of guys in the Big Ten that I want the ball in their hands in a tie game, it's Tyson. I mean, look at the Kansas State game. Like, he found a way to get that scoop layup. Like, you just know Tyson Walker is going to deliver in those big moments. I don't see like the national stuff, and that's not a diss to Tyson Walker, but just quite frankly, I don't think anyone who plays next to a point guard who's going to get 8 assists in a game is ever going to be like a first team All-American, because like, in order to be that guard, you have to do both. Like, Tyson Walker would need to be like 18, 5, and 5. And he's just not going to get the counting numbers like that. He might score 20. Like, Tyson Walker could score 20 a game next year, but it's going to be like 20 and like 2 assists because of who he plays alongside. So just on that note, like, I think his ceiling as an All-American nationally is limited, but he's a top 5 player in the Big Ten, no doubt.
Hey, can I throw a hot take out there?
Yeah.
And this also, like, you can take this for what it is, but if you're looking at a guy who could get like an All-American nod if Michigan State is successful as a team as people think they're going to be.
Are you about to say what I think you're about to say? Card. We're 30 minutes in. We are 30 minutes in. Can you
listen to my reasoning?
Remember everything you and I have texted about. Even after the season, you said you're out.
I do not.
You said you're out.
I'm out, but you know why I'm not out?
Just say what you're saying out loud right now, Carr. You are about to pitch me on AJ Hoggard being a first-team All-American 20 minutes into our season right now.
Can I tell you the only reason why?
Oh my God, man. Yes. Why?
Tyler Kolek was an All-American this year.
Tyler Kolek stinks. We said that all year.
He was an All-American.
They won the Big East and the Big East title.
Did I not say if Michigan State has the success and you match that with you give me Tyler Kolek and AJ Tyler Kolek's numbers look like AJ Hogarth's, by the way.
But like
let that be known.
Cam Jones is good, but like Kolek was their everything. Like,
yeah,
could Hogarth be that if Tyson Walker didn't exist?
I'm not believing it, but what my original thing was, I was like, could Tyson be an All-American? Then I was looking, I was like, oh, like who's an All-American guy who I don't think is an All-American? I go to Tyler Kolek. I start looking at the numbers, and he averages 12 and 7.
I just listen, like it or not, Hogarth and his backcourt mate are always going to it's the split votes theory, right? Like when you're voting for MVPs from the same team, they're just going to split votes. AJ Hogarth by default is always going to dominate numbers, just raw numbers. The problem is he's not efficient. So even AJ Hogarth with crazy numbers is not going to be an All-American if he's shooting 28% from three.
What I was saying was that like if Michigan State has a success, like let's say they have a Marquette type year,
someone on the list,
if Michigan State has a lot of success, wins the Big Ten, wins the Big Ten tournament, like top 5 team, Marquette level team, and someone's like, oh, let's pick a guy from this team to be on the All-American, like third team. You just mentioned having, more numbers outside of scoring. Obviously, I would probably pick Tyson Walker, but I'm looking at it from that angle.
I mean, it would be one of two things would happen. Either Tyson would score 20 a game. Like if Tyson does exactly what he did this year, 2.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists, but he just scores 20 instead of 14. Okay. If Michigan State is a top 5 team in the country, then Tyson's an All-American. If AJ Hogarth is like a diet Denzel Valentine, I guess that's not out of the question. I don't think it's going to happen
He won't be.
Right. For the same reason you're shaking your head at me right now. It's not going to happen because AJ Hogarth's AJ Hogarth and he can't go 3 games without tripping over himself. But if it happened, could Hogarth average 14 and 6 and 6? Probably. I don't know. Is he going to be efficient in those? I guess there's a world, right? I guess there's a world where Michigan State wins 30 games and one of those dudes.
Are you saying you could make an argument?
You can make an argument. It's just insane that we're 20 minutes into the season and we're talking about if AJ Hogarth's a first team All-American.
But do you understand my reasoning on it? Really good team. It's more so really good team. I'm picking a player from that team to be on All-American list.
Let's make sure they're a really good team first before we talk about both backcourt guys being first team All-Americans.
Got you on that. And we're gonna get into the lefty elephant in the room that we're going to talk about soon. But really quick,
Card, is he a first team All-American or is he standing in the corner still? Because I still think Jaden's probably the most talented guy in this backcourt. But
that's fine. That's fine.
If he's playing next to 2 first team All-Americans, then
he's not playing next to 2 first team All-Americans.
There's a path for both of them too, right? Because the ball's in their hands.
2 first team All-Americans?
We just talked about it. There's a path that Tyson's a first team All-American. There's a path that AJ Hogarth's a first team All-American. Where's Jaden's path?
I need to keep stuff inside sometimes. But to really quick to comment on what you were talking about before I caught you off guard with my AJ Hogarth, scenario. The thing that was missing from this year's team was length and athleticism. More so just athleticism. I think this team was a really good shooting team. I think this team across the board was all negative athletes outside of Jaden Akins. And next year, this freshman class brings athleticism. So I think it's a good mixture of something that we're missing. It'd be nicer if we had a center because I think we're still missing a starting caliber center. But I think that the athleticism that's added to what the shooting that we'll have. The shooting is a little more. Well, I'm assuming that Akins comes back. I'm assuming that Walker's back.
That's not what you told me in texts 3 hours ago. Assuming that Jaden Akins comes back is not what you texted me 3 hours ago.
I think it's 50-50 at this point.
Okay. That's also not what you texted me 3 hours ago.
I know. Well, things change. Things are fluid. Things are fluid.
I know better than anybody. Things are fluid right now, my friend. Okay. I'm here to play the fluidity game. But even if Jaden Akins is on the team doesn't have a lot of shooting. Just doesn't. Which will that matter? I don't know. But I don't think you have a lot of like this year.
Well,
Like
it's
you can
no, instead of 3 guys shooting above 40%, we have 2 guys. And then add
yes,
in, but add in more athleticism.
you have 2 guys if Jaden Akins comes back, number one. But I think
Mm-hmm.
like I guess my point would just be like I don't think you can sweep and say like, oh, the athleticism of the freshman class is gonna take this team to a new level when it's really a totally new build to me. Like even with Tyson Walker back, like I guess if you get Akins back, it's really not that different of a build. But like Joey Hauser being what Joey Hauser was at the 4, by default is going to change everything about this team.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it or not, Joey was such a threat just to shoot and just to space the floor for AJ Hoggard that like trying to play another guy who is not nearly the same level of perimeter threat is just going to be very different. And like,
But to counteract that, what if the guy's a threat like athletically as a lob?
No, he will be. Like whoever you play there will be. But I would encourage people to not like rush to like, oh, we're gonna get Dunks back, and that means we're a better team. Like objectively, whoever's playing the 4 for 40 minutes is a worse player than Joey Hauser next year. That doesn't mean the team's worse, but like, unless Xavier Booker's truly like a one and done top 10 guy, which you and I both don't think he is, that's likely not an upgraded spot. What's going to make the team better is the fact that you really theoretically could have Hoggard, Walker, and Akins all back again, which would be insane. And that's the story of your team. But even if that's the team, I'm a little worried about the shooting because like Joey Hauser opened everything up for dudes in a way that Xavier Booker and Cohen Carr would not. Or the
Also,
ghost of Malik Hall if he's playing the 4.
yeah. Also, in a world where Akins leaves, I would kind of assume that we add somebody, like we add a starting caliber level 3 that can knock down shots. I don't know who that is. I can't give you an answer on that. But
Yeah.
in an ideal world, it'd be a guy who would be okay playing Akins' role. And I don't know. Basically, right now, a lot of our season is hinging on whether Jaden Akins next year is going to be okay playing the same role that he played this year. And I've heard 2 different things. I've heard that there's absolutely zero chance. I'm on record saying to you that it's basically a Walker Akins pick one situation. Walker's back. So theoretically, what I've been saying, what I've been hearing up until this point, and what I've been telling people is that Akins is gone. Now, I guess there's been a little bit more conversations about like what his role would be and like how it would kind of factor into the team and their success next year. And maybe he buys into that, and maybe we can hold on to him for the fact that he wants to be an MSU basketball player. But also at the same time, if he wants to go play a bigger role, have the ball in his hands more, basically, I wouldn't even say bigger role. I would say a different role, have the ball in his hands more. Then I'm not blaming him. I think it sucks. It's going to hurt Michigan State, though. I don't think people can say to themselves that Jaden Akins leaving is good for Michigan State. And I feel like that narrative might show itself. Like, I don't want to hear any of that. Oh, he's selfish. He wants to be better. Like, he wants to go be an NBA guy. One, can't fault a kid for that. Like, what else are you playing college basketball for unless it's to get to the next level? To be honest, I guess some people aren't like that. But to me, I feel like you want to play at the highest level if you're a competitor, and the highest level is the NBA. So you can't fault the kid for that. But I definitely don't want the narrative to come out that if he does leave, is that, oh, he's like some selfish kid that wanted to just go play more. It's not selfish. It's called doing what's best for yourself. And whether it is selfish, it might be in a good way. But it's definitely not good for Michigan State as a team. I will be in hell if Jaden Akins leaves. I'll say that right now. I will not be happy.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing for you and for Michigan State fans in general is like as tough of a transfer pill to swallow that would be, like your team's going to be pretty dope regardless. Like Jaden Akins definitely does take the team to a different level. Like I think with Akins, you're looking at a top 5 team preseason in the country. Without Akins, I think it's more like 10 to 15 range, depending on who the next person they would plug in there is. Because I would agree with you. I think you'd need to get a transfer that can shoot the basketball if Jaden Akins leaves. Here's my thing. There are guys who are delusional in his spot, right? There are guys who are just like trying to think of a good example, but like a dude who would declare for the draft that has no chance of going to the draft. Jaden Akins is not delusional having NBA dreams. Like, is he on draft boards right now? Not even close. That's largely because of the role he plays for Michigan State. And that's not Tom Izzo's fault. I am not criticizing Tom Izzo for playing Jaden Akins in the role that he has played. When you have AJ Hoggard and Tyson Walker playing as well as those guys did for the majority of last season, all you can do is start Jaden Akins at the 3 and play him as much as you can there. And Tom Izzo did that. This is not a situation where anyone is at fault, but it is a very clear cut and dry situation where there's a gap between what the player needs in order to fulfill his professional dreams the quickest route possible versus what a program can give. And that is just by default. Now, if Tyson Walker had left, there's no doubt in anyone's mind Jaden Akins slides over to the 2. He gets a lot more of like the late game balls in his hands type stuff, and everybody's happy.
He gets Tyson's role.
He gets Tyson's role, and we saw how good that looked for Tyson Walker this year. That's not going to happen. So now you talk about, okay, forget if that's a good or bad thing for Michigan State, because that's a different question, right? You have to take Tyson Walker back. I get that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have taken Tyson Walker back. But there are some creative solutions here outside of that. There are some hard conversations you could have with other guys that aren't Tyson Walker. I've been pretty adamant that my approach would definitely be do everything you can to have a Walker and Akins backcourt. I think that's a backcourt that's pretty special. Not saying a Hoggard and Walker backcourt is not special, but I'm just saying, like, if I would assume, Cara, and this is where the body language PhD comes in, and let me just preface for anyone that has not listened to me outside of Unscripted, some history of my body language PhD cart. I said, look at this video when Illinois walked off the court after beating Texas. I said, somebody's not happy. 2 weeks later, Sky Clark left the program. I got on Spiro Avenue with you in December and said, this ain't going to work out with Hunter Dickinson at Michigan. Hunter Dickinson's in the portal, being recruited by Kansas and Kentucky right now. I am pretty good at this, okay? And I get there's a lot of people who are looking at this shit and be like, oh, Ant started a rumor. Why would a starter who plays that many minutes want to leave? It's because Jaden Akins thinks he's an NBA guard and he needs to play point guard and shooting guard offensively with the ball almost every possession in order to get there. He just does. And that's not, it was potentially possible for him next year at Michigan State until Tyson Walker came back. Now, if Hoggard and Walker are back, there is just no world where he gets those opportunities on Michigan State. So what could happen from here, like the staff 100%, I'm sure they're already doing this, is going to pitch him on, listen, we're going to be the best team in the country next year, and you're a huge part of it. You're going to start and play 30 minutes a game. You're going to get all the shots you had last year and more. We're going to run more stuff for you. The stuff we ran for Joey, the pin downs, the little curl screens, we'll run that for you. I'm sure they're making that pitch, and it's a damn good pitch for a kid that grew up a Michigan State fan and wants to play in East Lansing. It might not be enough. In the transfer portal era, it just might not be enough. I don't know what I would bet on right now being the reasonable outcome. But I do know that even if Jaden Akins plays whatever the role is that he's being promised, if it's next to Hoggard and Walker, if he plays the best version of basketball he could possibly play, he's not getting drafted. So that's going to be something. And from what you've heard, from what I've heard, from people we talked to, this was a thing that was a concern mid-season. It's a thing that his camp is concerned about. This is not just Jaden Akins. So there's going to have to be conversations that are had. And listen, I would assume if he hits the portal, he'd have a lot of places that would call him. It wouldn't just be like he needs to go to the MAC. He needs to go to Butler or something. Like, he's going to play for a really good basketball team next year. Somebody will call him. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Like I said, if I'm Tom Izzo, you can criticize and say you disagree with me on this. If I'm Tom Izzo, the number one most important thing in my mind would have been keep Jaden Akins, even over keep Tyson Walker. And if Tyson had to make his decision first and you're pressed into the timing of that, then obviously you take Tyson Walker back. You don't turn him down. But I would have done everything in my power to at least make sure, okay, if Tyson's back, that means I'm getting Akins back. And from my read on the situation as an outsider and from what I've heard, I don't believe that is what happened here. I believe the staff took Tyson Walker back and is now working on Akins. And I think there's still work to do. And if I'm going full body language PhD cart, Jaden Akins has been liking a lot of shit on Twitter. No like for the Tyson Walker announcement. He did like it on Instagram, Cart, but he did not get in the comments on Instagram. There are a lot of dudes in the comments. Malik Hall's in the comments. Jiggy Traw's in the comments. Carson Cooper's in the comments. No comment for Jaden Akins. So we'll see. We'll see. Gun to my head, Cart. I think you might see Jaden Akins leave the program this offseason. That's where my head is at.
Last thing I want to push back on you on, I think there's a world that Jaden Akins plays the same role that he does this year, and I think he gets drafted. I think there is because I've actually talked to some people, and whether these people are, whether you consider them to be big time draft analysts or something like that, guys that played in the NBA, guys that have done
can we name drop?
Level.
Can we name drop? Give me a name drop.
I don't know if I can name drop.
Well, I got to throw all the analysis out the window.
You know them.
I know, but like we
know it's field of 68 guys.
We know a lot of people on wide ranges of the spectrum of how much would I trust what that person says.
It's field of 68 guys.
Even within that qualifier, like I got it at least text.
Hey, all I will say is this is the sentence that was said to me, is that yes, NBA guys value, obviously guys that are electric with balls in their with the ball in their hands and things like that. Well, they also value guys that excel at the role that they're in, and that role leads to winning.
Yeah, but those guys, that's true. That's objectively true. I already have a theory.
But are you gonna hit me with if he wants to be like a lottery level talent, first round draft pick type guy? Is that what you're gonna hit?
No,
me
it's
with?
not even that. I just from everything I know about the NBA draft and from the unnamed people I've talked to, all of that great teammate bullshit, like that works if you're 6'7". Like Jaden Akins is a 6'4" guard. Like it just is what it is. And again, let's give Akins some credit here, Car. I think Akins played pretty close to his ceiling in the role he was asked to play last year. 9 points a game, 42% from three. Like, I think he could shoot better from the line. I think he could probably get to the rim a little more instead of settle for mid-range. But he didn't really.
He will with more pin downs that Joey Hauser doesn't have anymore.
Right, he didn't really turn the ball
Jaden,
over.
come back,
much,
man,
but
please.
If you're drafting a 3-and-D guy, you want that guy to be 6'6" to 6'8". You're not drafting a 3-and-D 6'4", 180. You're just not. No matter how good of a teammate he is and how much he accepts his role being the third option. Like,
first of all, the Sacramento Kings are a real franchise. There's always a way to get drafted.
I just listen, man. Like, if we're just playing hypothetical game here, right? I don't know where he would end up, but I know Arkansas has been dishing out scholarships to worse players than Jaden Akins. Hypothetically, if Jaden Akins was the starting 2 guard on Arkansas for a year, I think he's a first-round pick in that system and the way they use their guards. I just do. I think, listen, man, if he stays till his senior year at Michigan State and Hogard and Walker leave and it's Fears and Akins, then I think he could also be a first-round pick at Michigan State. I really do. The problem is, Cart, we're now in the cycle. Tyson Walker's here for another year, which is great. That's awesome for the team. AJ Hogard's probably back for 2 more years. Where the fuck is AJ gonna go?
No, AJ is definitely the type of player that's gonna be like, okay, done my 4 years here. Let me hit the portal, see who wants me.
I don't know, man. AJ is kind of the rallying cry leader of this Michigan State team right now. Like that or not, good or bad for the program or not. The dude's oh, I saw a friend turn to an op when Caleb Love committed to me. He is the Spartan dog right now.
Yeah, but he's also a Spartan dog that is on a day-to-day basis. We talk about murmurs and camps and things talking about shit like that. There was murmurs and camps talking earlier in the year that AJ Hogard might not be a Spartan. Might be looking elsewhere.
Because it looked like there was a really realistic outcome that could happen until AJ Hogard had 25 and 6 and a loss. Oh, what a surprise. AJ Hogard had a great game and a loss. Never heard that one before. But he played too well in the NCAA tournament to not come back. So I don't know, man. Listen, all in all, it's a great problem to have. If you're a Michigan State fan, you should be ecstatic. Losing Akins would hurt, no doubt. You can feel whatever end of the spectrum you want on that. I'm sure right now, almost every Michigan State fan would be like, Walker over Akins, you have to. That's just the one thing I disagree on is like, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Akins. And that's no disrespect to Walker, who I think is a top 5 player in the Big Ten, no doubt.
You'd also be the first person to be letting us have it if Akins didn't produce and we let Walker go.
No, for sure. I mean, the safer thing by far is Walker, but you'll probably hear this from me throughout the next year, Cart. Like and maybe I'll eat my words and y'all cut down nets in Phoenix and I'll watch it and applaud you and say I was wrong. I think Michigan State's first real chance at a national title is 2 seasons from now, not next year. That's where I'm at on it. And senior Akins is a really big part of that. Whereas if you lose that and you like, here's my counter to this. And I think you'll agree with this, my friend. If you take Tyson Walker back, knowing there's a risk you lose Jaden Akins, that's a very all my chips are in the table for this one upcoming season move, right? It just is.
Well, I've told you that if I got offered, and this is coming from a Tyson Walker, I love Tyson. Also love Jaden. If you're offering me 2 years of Jaden Akins over 1 year Tyson Walker, I'm taking 2 years of Jaden Akins.
Right. I'm with you. But here's my point is which I think this is what happened, Cart. They took Tyson Walker back knowing there's a risk they lose Jaden Akins. Like they have to recruit back Jaden Akins, and I'm sure they're trying. But like that is what happened here. They took Tyson Walker back knowing there's a chance.
Know that.
I mean, we assume that from intel that makes a lot of sense here. From people you would say you trust, right? That's essentially what is. Look, Jaden Akins hasn't announced he's coming back. So until he does, like, how would we not assume that's what happened? They took Tyson Walker back knowing there's a risk they might lose Jaden Akins. That's an all-in move. Can we agree on that? Like, that's a we believe we can win a national championship move. Yes?
Sure.
If that's the case, you have to go get a center. You just
we're not.
Well, but that's why it makes no sense to me, Cart, because if you're not willing to address the glaringly obvious thing that is limiting you from being the best team in the country, then you don't make this move. Like, either you're all in on doing everything you can to win a title and be the best team in the country, which includes bring Tyson Walker back, and if Akins doesn't want to be here, fuck it. But you better go get a center, dog. Like, that's the thing that makes no fucking sense to me. And you can throw the I'm loyal to my guys over transfers out the window, because what he's doing right now is being loyal to a transfer over his guy. He's being loyal to Tyson Walker over Jaden Akins. And if people want to tell me they disagree, that's not what's happening here, fucking fine. I disagree. But getting Walker back, all-in move, I applaud it if you're all in. But if you're all in, go get a center, dog. If y'all got a center with or without Akins, with Tyson Walker back, you're the number 1 team in the country next year.
Getting guys does not lead to you being disloyal to other guys, not in this day and age.
But that's the mantra, right? We've had to hear that from Izzo 100 times. Is he won't hit the portal because he's loyal to his guys.
It's an old mantra and it's a wrong mantra. He's just saying it to say it. It's just old guy yelling at clouds in my eyes.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you there, but like that's his whole mantra's been that. So, but like
I mean, this could all be for naught because we get Jaden Akins back. This is just a combo, just to fill out minutes of an episode. We don't know. I could make an argument that we might get 1 year Tyson Walker and 2 years of Jaden Akins. Greg, what do you always say to me? Do you mind if I get greedy? Or I might get greedy real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe Thomas got greedy. Maybe Coach Izzo said, I want to get greedy. I want Walker back and both Akins. And I think I can pull that off.
Get a little more greedy, Coach. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
If he pulls it out, if he pulls it off, I want a soliloquy from you, my friend.
I'll give you a soliloquy if it happens. Listen, man. Like I said, it's the difference between top 10 to 15 versus top 5. Like y'all, But if you want the difference between top 5 and top 1, get a center. It's that simple. Like,
true. I mean, we could be, yes, I feel like we're being greedy with the improvements that we want, but we're being realistic. But also, did I just exit out of this? Can you hear me, Greg?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. Well, I can't see myself anymore. So
I can see and hear you, my friend. You look great.
Okay, thank you. My dog puked on my computer, so who knows what's gonna happen nowadays. But all I'll say is this. Right now, me and you are arguing whether one player will be the difference between us being top 10 or top 5.
It's a great place to be.
It's a great place to be. Not all programs are in that place. So
not at all.
It's a good place. It's a good place to be. But just know this message to Michigan State fans. Yes, be excited that Tyson Walker is back, but also let's be attentive and aware of our surroundings, because there might be some other dominoes, pieces, whatever emoji you want to put out that will unfold in the next coming weeks. So let's stay alert to that.
Are you hinting at something, or is that just a summary? Like you're putting a bow on the segment?
All I'm saying is that, how there's a tornado watch. Well, we're on Jaden Akins' watch. We're at his mercy. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Love you, Jaden. If you're watching this, great player. Just want to say that. You could be anything you set your mind to, Jaden.
I'm planning on probably attempting to conceive a child within the next year, and I will name him Jaden if he's a boy if you come back.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow. Okay. I hope that's been approved by wife.
This is out of her control. I got nets to cut down. God damn it.
All right.
But I'm going to wrap unless you want to not let me wrap.
I'm trying to think if we have anything else. I don't think so. I mean, great year. Shout out to Michigan State fans. Shout out to the feedback on Unscripted. I feel like we got good feedback in general this year, and I appreciate it. If you like this and you haven't watched us elsewhere, go watch us on the Sleepers channel, Sleepers Media.
Yep. Check us out on Sleepers Media. Appreciate everyone that listened to Unscripted, actually engaged and liked and comment, whether nice or not. Truly appreciate it. Greg, appreciate you being the co-host for this one and letting me host this season on Unscripted.
Great job, by the way. Great job. You crushed it this year. That was the biggest reason we got good feedback this year, was you crushed it, my friend. So, hey, listen, sometimes a guy just needs a bigger role. That's what we learned between you and I this year.
Hey, and you facilitated that. You took the step back. You did the anti-WAP, and you helped me in this situation. So I appreciate you for that. But if we get brought back next season, tune in next season. If not, I appreciate everyone that tuned in this season. I appreciate the Field of 68 giving us this opportunity. And as always, go green, go white. Get ready for next year.